Hey everybody. So December 14th is the anniversary of my heart surgery. So I thought I would do a video and talk about what happened 8 years ago, um, and why I had to have open heart surgery. I have a giant scar down my chest that goes from about here to here. It's about like 9-10 inches long. I measured it a long time ago, but I don't remember. Anyways, so like I said, it's the anniversary of my surgery that majorly changed my life. And like I started having problems earlier in the year. Like, I had quite a few ER visits, and it was always dismissed as anxiety, or acid reflux, or something called costochondritis, which is inflammation of the cartilage in between your chest, or in between your ribs in your chest. And so it was always dismissed as that. And finally, on December 8th, I started having really bad chest pain. At the time, I was living with a roommate in her house, and she wouldn't take me to the ER. I waited like 8 hours, and about 4:40 in the morning, I finally called 911. Well, went to the ER, and the resident that was seeing me heard a heart murmur. And I forgot to add, I did try to treat the chest pain for everything that I knew to deal with ibuprofen, my acid reflux medication, and the anxiety medication that I was on at the time, because that was another issue that I had a lot. So anyways, this resident doctor who alternated between the hospital and my doctor's office, his name is Dr. Klosowski. He heard a heart murmur, and he ordered tests. They did an EKG, and that was a little abnormal. So they ordered an echocardiogram, and I was freaking out. So I had called my mom, and I let her know what was going on. And then trying to keep track here. So after the echocardiogram, they told me that they found a tumor in my heart. That was about 9 a.m. I'd been there for a few hours. A friend of mine came up and sat with me for a little while until my mom got there. Because I called my mom at work and told her what was going on. That they found the tumor in my heart, that it was really large. It was called an atrial myxoma. It was taking up 80% of my left atrium, and a small portion of it was dipping through the valve. I can't remember which valve that is, might be the mitral. Anyways, it was dipping from the left atrium down into the left ventricle with each beat of my heart. And there was a chance that that piece could break off. And had that happened when I was home, it would have either lodged in that valve or possibly gotten stuck in my aorta if it broke off, and it would have killed me instantly. So I was very lucky that they found the tumor when they did. They put me on a heart monitor um, when they admitted me, and they started giving me morphine, ibuprofen, and tramadol. I can't take hydrocodone. I have a reaction to it, so they were using tramadol at the time. And I alternated between the three of those until the day of surgery. Um, so, um, where was I? Sorry, I'm getting a little distracted. Um, trying to get through this. So yeah, I was on a heart monitor. My mom and dad came up to the hospital. My dad waited until I was admitted to a room. My mom, she came up immediately after what happened. Um, so I that afternoon, doctors came to see me and everything, and they were really surprised at how large the tumor had gotten, and that it had never been discovered because it was so large. And that was the reason why they had to do open heart surgery versus doing it laparoscopically. Had it been smaller, it would have been able to be removed in the same fashion that they remove blood clots with like the little camera and everything. Um, so that wasn't an option. They had to place me on heart lung bypass machine, stab my heart, and cut it open to remove the tumor. Um, so um, the day after I was admitted to the hospital, they decided to put a PICC line in, peripheral intravenous central catheter, I think is what it's called. Anyways, instead of just an IV, because I was going to be there for a while, and IVs you have to change like every other day, and then that is a little more sterile and stuff. So I had that while I was there, and then I had the heart monitor, so moving around was a pain in the butt. They also tried to put the blood clot things, um, cuffs on my legs, but they decided I moved around enough that I didn't need to have those. So I got lucky. I only had those on for a couple hours. They like go off and they massage your legs and stuff to help prevent blood clots, but they're like, you're moving around enough, you don't need them. So, um, I got really lucky while I was up there. At the time, I was involved with Hopeville church, and I had a community group and stuff, and I had people from church come up to see me, including one of the pastors, plus people from my community group. Um, so I was in the hospital for 5 days before they did the surgery. The surgeon that was assigned to me, Dr. Curry, wanted to send me home until the day of surgery, until my cardiologist said, hey, look at this tumor again. She needs to stay here and be monitored until her surgery in case there is an emergency. There was no way they were releasing me. So, yeah. So like I was saying, on December 14th, I had surgery. Um, the night before, my best friend Mike, he stayed with me at the hospital. He didn't want me to be alone. He knew I would have a lot of anxiety and I might have a hard time sleeping. So his wife, Cami, well, they were just dating at that time. Um, she was okay with him staying. My mom and dad had other responsibilities with my sister and stuff, so I wasn't expecting either one of them to stay up there all night with me. They did bring my sister up to the hospital the night before surgery, which was great. And one of the things that I remember was the fact that she let me hold her hand for the longest time. They put her her wheelchair next to my bed, and she let me hold her hand, and she was all smiles and stuff. They only brought her up the once to see me because she's in a wheelchair. It's hard for her, you know, for them to bring her out, especially in the wintertime when it's cold. My brother stayed with her when my parents were up with me. So, but he came up to visit me as well, and I had other family come up, cousins, and I had other friends come up to see me and stuff. So, yeah, um, yeah. The day of surgery was when the pastor came to see me and prayed with me and everything, which was really great. It's kind of weird, and I mentioned this in a blog that I made, which I've got here to refer to, because there's different things that I want to talk about. Anyways, I was incredibly calm that morning, and I don't even think they gave me any Xanax or anything. I think maybe I had like a Visceral or something. I was really calm that morning, and my mom and dad, my aunt Pat, my friends Stephanie and Mike and Cami were with me on the way to surgery. They escorted me to the surgery floor, and Stephanie and I were joking and laughing. Like, I was laughing so hard, I almost had tears, because I was laughing so hard. And how many people can say that they're laughing um, on their way to a life changing surgery? Um, it just I was confident that I was gonna be okay. I mean, yeah, it was really scary, and like the day that they told me when the surgery was gonna be and they placed PICC line, I wanted to go home and I started crying and I'm like, no, I want to go home, I want to go home, you know. But the day of surgery was a different story. Of course, my mom and dad went back to the pre-operating room um, with me when they were prepping me and everything, but I had to kick them out a little sooner than they actually had to leave because they were gonna cry, and I didn't want to start crying. So um, yeah. After surgery was kind of interesting. They took the tumor out and they actually showed it to my parents in a cup. I guess it was about 8 centimeters long by 2 centimeters wide, so it was really large. Um, they got it all in one piece, but I forgot to add, it was benign, and they figured it would be because the type of tumor that it was, they're usually benign. It wasn't cancerous or anything. It's just a weird tumor. So yeah, back to recovery. After the surgery, I was in the ICU, and my Aunt Pat, they only let family in. So my parents, my Aunt Pat, and my cousin Stephanie came in to see me. And I don't remember seeing my Aunt Pat or my dad because I was in and out of it. But the first people I remember seeing were my mom and my cousin Stephanie. And I was immediately asking for like something to drink and some ice cream when they took the tube out. Um, and they 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 don't normally give anybody anything right away, but they did let me have a few sips of a diet Sprite, so that was nice. I was only in the ICU for 18 hours, and normally with a major surgery like that, people are in anywhere from 24 to 72. So they were really impressed with how fast I was recovering. And the other thing that was interesting was after I got back to my room, I was only on the morphine until the following day. So I went into the hospital on December 9th. I had the surgery on December 14th. I was back in my room on December 15th, and I was off of the morphine on the 16th. I wasn't released until the 21st, though, because they had to keep an eye on me and make sure everything was working okay and that I wasn't in much pain and everything like that. So, um, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. So, yeah, I had major surgery 8 years ago thanks to a doctor hearing a heart murmur and them discovering a tumor in my heart. I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't have anything to measure. I mean, 8 centimeters. I mean, that's gotta be at least, most of my hand, and I'm only 2 centimeters wide, but taking up 80% of my atrium, it was majorly impacting my life, and I am so thankful to be here today. So, anyways, that's my story. Thank you for listening.